I'm sewing on this one today. I have used the harem cloth here. I always put a whole bunch of that in the pomegranate and walnut pot in the fall so that it's not too white. And you can see where I've used the long stitch on the back and the small on the front to invisibly attach it. And you can also see that I haven't ironed it or the patchwork. And I have to say that unless I really need to iron something, I don't. And I think, of course, I ironed the pieces in preparation. But I do like this irregular puffiness that results from no ironing. It's softer. It has more depth. I don't know, I guess it's almost like the kind of linen shirt you don't iron after a while. The fabric is old and soft, and so it doesn't really take a hard crease, you know. I just like the softness of that. And I've started to stitch the face. I love that I could use, excuse me. I had to seam these two pieces because I didn't have enough, you know, and I love how the seam has become part of the design and how I could work around that. I'm thinking much more about that lately, the seam as a line, and how interesting it is when you combine it with the stitched line. The variation is nice. I'm also noticing how human my cat eyes always end up to be. I think that's the addition of the white of the eye and perhaps the shape. I mean, yeah, I'm interested in the how the faces cross over, how a human could have a cat-like eye and a cat could have a human-like eye. And this is quite simple. I'm not sure how much more I will add. I'm thinking, though, I'm looking very closely at the mottled effect of the dye here, and I think I might highlight some of the places where it's very light. Maybe this will be the kind of beast that has kind of a very unbalanced marking. I think so. Got two strands of white here. You know, I think I might come in and use maybe just some very tiny back stitches here. You know, the thread bead is a back stitch, really. It's just that you go over and over and over again. But when you use it in some singular kind of form, you just get a very tiny bead. And I think in this case it'll just be enough to highlight. I'm going to go in between. It's very, very faded, but there's some markings here. So I'm just going to go in between where the original fabric is showing through, just to give it sort of a highlight. You know, of course, the bead also gives a texture. And when you use it singularly like this, it just kind of acts also as a gluing of layers. I don't know if it'll be that noticeable as a lightning effect. Oops, I caught something in the back here. I do that a lot. Doesn't matter really. So it's just gonna, I think, be tiny little highlights of white just running through the face. And maybe they could even continue. I see it would into this dark part, and when they cross over, they might become a little bit like stars. One thing becoming another again. It's formed kind of a texture, and now I've let it float over into the background a little bit. You know, this is all part of this kind of connection that I like to make between the elements in a composition. And I've always loved the thought of the things that run through you. So this end up to be a kind of favorite kind of stippling that I used to do in my drawings a lot, and it works really well in thread. In this case, it's almost sort of like a fairy dust kind of sprinkled through, and I think will form some sort of path that connects the figure to the world around it. Get a nicer bead if you don't pull too tightly. And you can also draw the dots first, but I kind of like this free form going. Just makes it kind of really like it's floating through.